Hello friends, welcome. Friends, Vodafone Idea it has been in news all the time because of the reason that people are speculating that what will happen to Vodafone Idea after 31st March 2026 when the AGR installment of 18,000 crores is getting due. And it is very clear that Vodafone Idea will not be able to pay that amount. And that is the reason why people are all speculating because a lot of investors interest exists in Vodafone Idea because of the FPO which happened where a lot of money was invested in Vodafone Idea and people are concerned. And that's why this debate is always happening in the media and even the analyst community is also talking about it. Now, one article came on 27th June 2025 where Vodafone Idea BSNL merger is considered as the only path to survival. Right? So this was one of the options, but it looks like that some analysts believe that this is a very important path and this is the only viable path which is available before us. And then there was another article which was written on 15th of July, the way out of India's jam telecom sector by a renowned IS officer. His name is Subhash Chandra Garg. Here also, it is being spoken about that merger of VI and BSNL as a viable alternative. Now, friends, the reason I'm doing this video is to explain to you in very simple terms that why merger of Vodafone Idea with BSNL will be a complete disaster. Some people who are watching this video might be completely surprised. They will be totally surprised that why I am making that very, very categorical statement. Why it is going to be a complete disaster and it is not only going to crush BSNL to total death, Vodafone Idea is also going to go along with BSNL. It will become a non-entity. Both the entities, VI and BSNL, become a non-entity. Right? And there will be a lot of operational and other costs involved. So friends, to make you understand why this is a total disaster, I thought of doing an elaborate video because sometimes what happens is that because of lack of technical understanding, business understanding to run all these big operation companies which are of larger scales and the nuances of technology, people generally don't understand that merger is not a simple phenomena. It requires a lot of alignment of equipment, technology, base stations. It's not an easy thing, spectrum. So it is easier said than done, right? So let's talk about it, and that's why I'm doing this video, right? So friends, the title of the video is why BSNL VI merger will fail, a reality check, right? That's the title. Here I am talking about logical on paper. It sounds logical on paper that BSNL VI merger, but reality is a different story. And that's all I'm going to explain today in this video. Evidence from past Vodafone Idea merger. If you have seen Vodafone Idea merger, it actually can be considered as not as successful because both subscriber count and revenue count has dropped significantly. I'm going to show you the chart. For example, let me just show you first and then we'll go into the details. So if you look at, where is it? Where is my chart? So the subscriber count, let me just show you absolute subscribers and then let the chart get refreshed, the absolute subscribers. And then I'm going to take a yearly time scale. And then I'm going to take, okay, let it be all. So if you look at this chart, you'll find that when the merger happened in FY19, the total subscriber base was 395 million. And then it went down and now it is at 205 million. Means there is a 50% erosion of subscriber, right? Of Vodafone Idea. See? So this started from here and it ended up to 205. Then there is one more thing to understand is that this is the revenue metrics of TRA revenue number. Let me just take percentage market share is fine. So I'm going to start from the latest revenue share metric of or market share of Vodafone. Let the chart get refreshed. So I'll take rupees crore. No, let's take market share. And then I'm going to take year. Let it be year. And then if you look at the market share of revenue of Vodafone Idea is 13.6%, right? 13.6% right here. You can see here the pan-India number. And then if I go 7 years back, you will see the market share for Vodafone Idea actually was 40% when the merger took place on a revenue share basis. So there has been an erosion of total revenue, right, of Vodafone Idea combined together. Can you see this? 40% market share, and then that went down to, if I go to, this is FY18. Now if I go to the current time frame, this number has gone back to, let me just bring it back to the current time frame, FY25, and you will see in FY25 this number is 13.6%, right? Now, why did it happen? Let's talk about that. There are challenges: operational, technical, HR, and financial time bombs. Let's go into the details. Now, the reason we are discussing this, I have already told you. Government is exploring way to keep Vodafone Idea alive. BSNL revival plan, merger being floated as a solution. Core question: can BSNL VI create a strong third player to compete with Jio and Airtel? Our answer is no. Here is why. So, lessons from past study, the VI merger case study. Now, if you recall, VI merger means Vodafone and Idea merger took 3 years to integrate, and it costs heavy subscriber losses. And why it took 3 years to integrate? Let's understand this. The key problem faced was network reorganization. It was an operational nightmare. HR and cultural integration issues, silos, low moral inefficiency, because the two different companies that do different culture, right? One was a multinational and another was an Indian company. And even today, there are groupism which actually happens in that company, where one particular cadre, with the Idea cadre and the Vodafone cadre, they haven't really integrated that well. And that was very much an issue sometimes back, right? Maybe it has improved. I really don't know. But I was told that there was a lot of problem when this integration took place. Then vendor harmonization delay. Different equipment, OSS, BSS system. We'll talk about that in detail. Backhaul optimization require massive capex. Outcome, quality of services degraded and millions of subscriber was churned and revenue loss, which I showed you, right? Just a minute before. Now, BSNL VI merger is going to be a problem which is multiplied by 10 times. And let me explain why. This is going to be a much bigger problem than what we saw between Vodafone and Idea, because both were at least corporate private sector company. Here, one is a public sector company and there is a private sector company, right? It is going to be a mess, and mess of such a magnitude you can't even think of. Why? Wider technology gap. BSNL is using local company, local tech partner. VI has got global vendor here. And we know that local tech company that BSNL using has got a lot of limitation. They are not able to implement each and every technical solution which the global companies have integrated. For example, still today, they have not been able to do CA. The network is still not optimized. There is a lot of issues from the point of view of coverage and quality of service people are reporting. And then large workforce complexity, government plus private, legal issue from both sides, technical and network integration nightmare. Let's talk about this in a little detail. Equipment incompatibility. BSNL's core is homegrown, struggling, CA not working. VI is optimized for global vendor gear. And then there are band conflicts. BSNL is on 4G 700 megahertz, which is a 5G band. VI is on 900 megahertz for low band coverage for 4G. Options, let's look at the options now. Now, somebody may say that let BSNL remain on 700 megahertz 5G and 4G. And because the equipment is, let me just show you the diagram, then only things will become very clear. So I'm going to go to my chart, which is I'm going to go to this 700 megahertz band first. Now 700 megahertz band, you see, this is the 10 megahertz which BSNL has. Now this band has got what? 4G. Now somebody may say, no problems. You upgrade this equipment from 4G to 5G, right? That's the solution. And you don't have to dismantle any of the equipment. This equipment can upgrade it to 5G because they say that this is software upgradable. And then on the customer side also there is no problem, because what will happen is that as soon as this equipment gets migrated to 5G, then all the 4G customers here will lock on to what? VI's 900 megahertz spectrum. Because those handsets definitely will support 4G 900. So there should not be a problem, right? that will be the solution which people will propose. But the problem is the following. The problem is that the 700 cannot remain as standalone 5G forever. Do you understand my point here? It is not going to remain standalone 5G forever. You need to integrate with 3500. Now, 3500, VI is already deploying their own 5G equipment. BSNL will also start deploying their 5G. There will be a total conflict between these two equipment. One equipment has to be dismantled. Either VI's equipment has to be totally dismantled or BSNL equipment has to be dismantled. Why? Because you need to do CA between 700 and 3500. So it will be better that VI dismantles its own equipment and let BSNL continue with the homegrown technology, because at least there will be some synergy. So whatever investment BI is doing right now on 5G will have to be unwinded, completely unwinded, which they talk about, auto optimized network, all these things which Jagbir Singh is talking about, right? What we have, the technology advancement. So VI will be driven to a technology which will be backwards, right? Because the legacy technology, the homegrown players still have not been able to perfect 4G. So their 5G perfection is going to be far from complete. So you will be forced, because BSNL is using 700 megahertz and you want the 700 megahertz spectrum to be converted into 5G by software migration, then you will be locked in the 3500 megahertz spectrum with the homegrown, home technology, right? Then there is another problem here. The problem is that what will happen to be a VI spectrum? This VI spectrum, which you see 3500 and the BSNL spectrum, they have to be integrated together in one single chunk. And these guys, Bharti here and Reliance Jio here, has to make way for them. But they won't. Because if you recall, I told you in one of my video that Bharti is already struggling, right? In some circles where they don't have, this 3.5 gigahertz spectrum available because of the auction conditions where there are local government usages. And because of that, if you see out of 100 megahertz, Bharti is already not been able to use these 10 megahertz spectrum. So if there has to be, if let's say, if BSNL moves this side, right? BSNL move this side and Vodafone Idea is pushed in this direction, then Vodafone Idea will occupy those slots which will be unusable. Or there could be one solution. Vodafone Idea, if Vodafone Idea's this blue, right, spots are shifted here. As soon as they are shifted here, what will happen? Reliance Jio is going to move into that territory where Bharti exists today, in these territories. You see why I'm saying so? Because this is 70 megahertz here. This total spectrum here, total 70 megahertz. And BSNL has 70 megahertz, right? And Vodafone Idea also has, how much Vodafone Idea has? Let me just show you. Vodafone Idea is 50 megahertz, right? Not 70 megahertz, 50 megahertz. Now 50 megahertz means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? This is 4 and 5. So there has to be a shift of five slots in this side. And there is a likely that some of these slots here, which is currently lying in the territory of Bharti, will fall in the territory of Reliance Jio. So people will not be, because their whole network is going to get disturbed, because this whole thing is going to now fall here, right? It will going to go and start occupying here. So it will be here, and Reliance Jio also will lose some spectrum here because of this problem. So they will not be ready to do this harmonization. You understand? So there will be a problem here, right? Similarly, there are other issues that you're going to face, right? If you look at vendor fragmentation, CA between, we were already spoken about it, CA between 700 and 3500, there has to be a lot of network reconfiguration which has to be done. Because of BSNL, Indian gear, VI, Nokia and Ericsson, no interoperability, either you discard BSNL gear or VI's 3500, both massive cost and rollout delay. Now, spectrum reorganization is a regulatory maze. I have already given you a peek in the 3500 megahertz spectrum because of the complexity, right? Then let's look at other bands. For example, let's look at a band of 900 megahertz spectrum. Now, 900 megahertz spectrum, this is BSNL here, right? This is 6.2, and this is Vodafone Idea. And then there are Bharti here. Now, BSNL will continue to use this for GSM. And Vodafone Idea is going to continue to use this for 4G if they convert their 700 megahertz for 5G with those kinds of problems which I've already described to you, right? And then if they do that, then what happens in 21? Let's go to 2100 megahertz spectrum. So 900, I think, should not be a problem. Now let's go to 2100 megahertz spectrum. Now 2100 megahertz spectrum, if I do a filter with VI and if I do a filter with BSNL, you will see that, and then I'll do MTNL. You see that some spectrum, they are joining together. But there are going to be network harmonization, which is spectrum harmonization will be required in many places because there are a lot of holes, right? So all these, equipment spectrum has to be harmonized. And not only BSNL is dependent on the government, Vodafone Idea is dependent on the government to facilitate that. They also are dependent upon the existing vendors, equipment able to support these slots. Probably they would. But how much comfort that they will have in supporting this, we don't know. So these are the problems that you are going to face. There will be likely cost implication and there will be huge amount of time to execute. There will be service chaos and churn. Operational IT complexity, different OSS, BSS billing integration. And then there will be base station locations will be different. You have to aggregate all the base station in one location in order to ensure that the network is properly harmonized and tuned. And those in aggregation of BTSs in one single location, you can just check with your ID and VI counter people who have already gone through that whole problem. They will tell you that how difficult that problem is. The network is going to get into a chaos. It's not going to work. CRM, customer care disruption churn, legacy system migration cost will skyrocket. Then comes the HR and cultural clash. BSNL is on government pay. VI is on private pay, right? And if BSNL pay is matched with VI, then will be OPEX explosion. If match with VI, then union will backlash. Job cuts and huge retirement payout which the government of India has to make. Government of India is already paying so much of money to BSNL for voluntary retirement. There will be a lot of people who will lose job. Then there will be a financial fallout. There will be a valuation collapse. Now the point here, if you look at this article, which I find it very strange because the person who wrote this article is a very respectable bureaucrat. Let me just show you this article. Now, in this article, if you look at this article, Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg, he is basically saying that the government has to take a haircut of 90% plus. Now, if the government has to take haircut, so might as well they take haircut. Why confuse? And by merging VI with BSNL, you take the haircut right now and let VI being managed by a professional management which is already there. It has a stable network, stable company. The HR structure has stable. Why create a confusion by merging with BSNL and MTNL? So if you have to take a haircut, take the haircut right now. So this looks like a circular argument, right? If BSNL has got their own problems, BSNL government have spent huge amount of money. Let me show you another chart which you will be able to understand. This is actually coming from the budget document. And where is the budget document? I'm going to show you the budget document. If you go to Indian budget document and you can download this, Department of Telecommunication Expenditure. So what I have done, friends, I created a Tableau dashboard. Now in this Tableau dashboard, you will see these are the actual spend, starting from FY14 till FY24 actual spend, which the government of India has made on BSNL and MTNL on different types of, like if you look at this is CapEx infusion. This is viability gap funding. And this is the budgetary allocation. Now look at this FY25 budgetary allocation, 1,76,000 crores for BSNL MTNL. So government is sinking money in BSNL MTNL on a continuous basis. Look at these amounts. If you add this amount, you can imagine the amount of money that the government has spent. Still, there is no value for BSNL MTNL. MTNL has defaulting their bank loans after having spent so much amount of money by the government. And the same thing is going to happen because they will lose subscriber and they will lose revenues and there will be a valuation collapse, and whatever the government has invested in Vodafone Idea and BSNL, nothing is going to get recoverable. Currently BSNL, so government loss, current BSNL equity, dues, VI dues waived out anyway, outcome zero recovery, high loss. Now learn from MTNL, Air India. So what we learned from MTNL, the government was supported, still there is no value. They have defaulted. In spite of the fact it's a listed company, right? Air India, how they revived? because they wanted the operation to go to a private enterprise. So they waived off all debt and gave the company to a private enterprise. So you do the same thing. You waive off all debt and let VI manage. Why you disturb the company right now? There is no point, bringing BSNL and MTNL into this mix, which actually makes no sense. BSNL VI merger, Air India pre-privatization scenario on steroids, because there is a difference between Air India and VI. Air India was a company governed by, controlled by the government with huge debt. They wanted that company to be managed by a private enterprise. So they waived off the debt and gave the company. Now VI is already managed by a professional management. Government is holding debt. So they might have a waive off all the debt and let VI, manage on its own, where there is already, so problem is already solved. Because in both ways, you have to waive off debt. You have to take 90% haircut, as Subhash Chandra Garg is saying, right? So smarter alternative is waive off, restructure BSNL debt now, keep private under professional management. Government retains equity, upside if BSNL turned profitable, cheaper and faster, and avoid chaos. So the closing punch is, if BSNL VI merger is not a synergy, it is a slow motion train wreck. It is definitely going to create such a chaos of such a magnitude. People who do not understand technology, they will not be able to tell, because bureaucrats, they don't have any understanding how this technology works. They think from a larger perspective, right? So they do not understand this technical nuance, but these technical nuance are having far-reaching implication on any kind of merger that you try to execute. It will be an operational chaos, financial bleeding, and a disaster. If the government wants competition, debt waiver right now, not merger. That's not the solution. So that's all, friends, in this video. I thought I made my point very clear that merger is a total disaster. A healthy company is going to become sick. Okay. So there is no point. VI is looking sick because it has been loaded with government debt, which is not fair. If you look at the fairness of the whole thing, it was not fair. AGR dues were not fairly managed, right? Spectrum auction cost was, the spectrum valuations not done fair. So if the government takes away all this debt, which it is not going to collect anyway, the problem is solved, because VI is already under professional management and is a stable company. Thank you, friends, for your time. I hope that you like this video, and thanks for watching till the end. And I'll come back with a new video and a new topic next time. Thank you very much.